one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Smash the likes. We have Bitcoin at $90,000. And today we got a major show for you today. We got to talk about the Ethereum upgrade happening tomorrow. We have major news out of the European Union, specifically Poland, and Bitcoin is surging. We got to talk about all the FUD surrounding the orange coin. Joined here by TJ. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Happy to be back. Missed you guys over the holiday. It's crazy. You take 1 or 2 days off of crypto and it feels like a week. But yeah, nice bringing the pumps with me. And I see, just as we have been lately, a lot of division in the chat. Some people saying this is your last chance to sell and get out forever. Other people saying alt's looking good here, and yeah, liking to see some positive price action. And like you said, a lot of FUD over the weekend, which is just interesting. Every time they start recirculating Tether FUD, it just makes me laugh. But
yeah. Cover the whole steps. They went to the old playbook, dusted it off, and then they brought the old tired stories. But I'll tell you what's not tired is the Discord. I think TJ, you might have the
Yeah, no, we've been crushing it. That's what makes it the most fun. I was going to share some of this stuff. I mean, this is just this morning. I mean, you see 1026, 1014. We're hitting take profits left and right. I think there was a stop loss in here somewhere that got hit, but for the most
I think
part,
an OP short maybe from like 1 a.m. or something. But
for the most part, if you guys have been trading along with us, it's been epic. Obviously, shorts and longs, and Quant's been doing a really good job. So that link is in the description if you guys want to join with us. It's free to join. Just trade with our affiliate link. That's all we ask, and it's really easy to do. And the information they put in there is top notch. I mean, as far as like it shows even the take profits and percentages and all that sort of stuff. So there's a guide that we give you too that helps you get the most out of it. So I'd highly recommend it. You can make money if the price is going up, down, sideways, and we got those liquidity pools running for when we're trading in a range too. So
speaking of the price going up, look at Bitcoin, everybody. Bitcoin going on a tear. This is just a 5-minute chart that we're looking at here, and from about 9 a.m. a little bit after, Bitcoin just on a nice little pump, a nice little tear, almost $4,000 in 2 hours, kind of making up for the $4,000 in 1 hour that we lost on the wee hour of Sunday. So you can see a nice little pump. But when you zoom out, what is the story with Bitcoin? I think the next stop is going to be this area right here. So what is this area? This is the area that we identified yesterday. Let's go to 4 hour, I think is what I was looking at. Yeah, 4 hour. It's just a nice little parallel range. I would not be surprised to see a lot of price activity, a lot of the bulls and the bears, fighting, because this is going to be the new line in the sand. So don't expect a clean rejection. I wouldn't expect, bursting right through. I'm expecting a lot of noise. This is going to be with all the MicroStrategy FUD, but with all the bullishness, with the Fed quantitative tightening ending. This is a battle of narratives. You have the Fed, they're about to lower rates, but you have Bank of Japan about to raise rates. So this is a impending bloodbath. TJ, if you had a bet on the Bulls winning or the Bears winning, talking about Chicago teams, who's going to win?
Bulls always. If I'd choose the Bulls or the Bears, definitely Bulls are the GOAT of the 90s. But
let us know, chat, who's going to win this battle. Is it going to be the Bulls? Is it going to be the Bears? I know the exchanges will win, TJ, as it does this little move right here. But the next move, that's going to be the $1 million question.
So the liquidity providers, right? So I'm happy. The volume was low, obviously, over Thanksgiving. But when price is moving, when we had that shakeout starting, I guess Sunday, volume spiked up a lot, and we made a bunch in fees, and we're able to stay in range pretty much this whole time on some correlated Bitcoin wrapped ETH ranges there. So yeah, I mean, the volume ramping up is crazy. Seeing what's coming out of BlackRock is crazy. I'm sure we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show, but fundamentally never been more bullish. Seeing a lot of signs, like you mentioned, QT is ending. It usually takes a little bit of time before we see that flow into the economy, but That's a lot of what I'm watching for early next year. We've still got the Clarity Act that should be passed, the market structure bill later this month. We've got the U.S., the Federal Reserve cutting rates. So a lot of macro bullish things. It's just a matter of the timing. And that's one thing that I know a lot of people get caught up on is, when is it going to pump? Is it going to pump next week, next month? And generally speaking, I will say you do have more time than it feels like. Almost everybody, when they get into crypto, they feel like this huge urgency that they're going to miss out if they don't buy it all right now, which isn't the case. I felt that way back in 2017, and you still feel that same emotion. Like, I'm going to miss if I don't, get in everything that I can right now. You've got more time than you think to get allocated, and it's going to keep going up. So that's what I do believe we're going to see a very, very bullish 2026. Is that January? Is it March? I see people already in the chat, upset about a 2026 bull market. But it's like, if you're investing and you bought an asset in, say, summer of 2025, and somebody's telling you, hey, within a year or two, we think it's going to be up a lot, then you need to be patient. It's a 10-year play. It's not a 2 to 10-minute play or 2 to 10 month play, which is what I feel.
I'm looking at the 30-second chart, but let's look at the 1 minute play. No, let's look at the 1 hour. Let's look at the 24-hour of all the coins out there in the top 100. We have Bitcoin now up 6.5%, ETH up 7%, BNB almost up 8%, Solana almost up 10% here, Cardano up 12%. I don't even know how I feel. I'm literally getting butterflies in my stomach right now. I'm going to share some Cardano news, and we'll be looking for the big gainers and the big losers. Sky, Sweet, and Pump.Fun, and World Liberty Fi all coming in with double-digit gains. WorldCoin, I hate to say, but I'm probably largely, I hate the company. I hate what it represents, but this is probably going to do well in 2026. ID verification, AI, kind of, looking at a lot of hot narratives right there. Near is also doing well. Caspa, Crow, Aster, all doing pretty well here. We look for the losers. Leo, always the contrarian coin. Canton's down, and gold. So it looks pretty good that we sold some gold and silver options yesterday. And you can see the precious metals starting to pull back there. And TJ, I deployed about half of it into Chainlink.
Okay.
But I am waiting to deploy the other half into Cardano. But I'm waiting for some lower levels. We have major news with USDC and Cardano kind of confirmed today.
Really? Is USDC coming to Cardano? That would be huge.
There's a catch. It has to pass. Let's just say they call it the pentad. I'm not kidding.
It has to pass the vote. Yeah.
The elders in the pentad are going to be what decides if this happens or not.
What do you mean the elders? So it's not like all delegated reps?
Well, they're going to have to stick around. We're going to have the viewers stick around. I'll get into that. I got to cover Cardano, folks. But let's cover Bitcoin
That'd be
first.
Huge.
And the 96% chance of a pump. What are we talking about? 96% chance of a pump. This is an actual verifiable back-tested metric. So let's get into that metric. So it's a Bitcoin valuation metric, and it has a 96% chance of a Bitcoin price recovery in 2026. And so it's been in a downtrend since the all-time high in October, and it's dipped below its network value, suggesting a possible recovery in 2026. The breakdown is seeing the price drop below the network value, or the Metcalfe value, for the first time in 2 years, a setup that historically predicts recoveries with accuracy. So Bitcoin's Metcalfe value, which is so funny because I was talking about this yesterday and I said, well, I don't want to get into Metcalfe's law. I always cover Metcalfe's law. Today's main article is Metcalfe's value on Bitcoin. So it's the theoretical fair price derived from Metcalfe's law. It states that Bitcoin's price rises in correlation with the growth of active addresses and transactions, i.e. network value. You don't know the root Metcalfe's law. The value of a network is equal to its nodes squared. So every user adds exponential addition to a network. So this means that the more wallets and transactions there are, the higher the fair price of Bitcoin. So price to Bitcoin, or price to Metcalfe value, has been a good indicator of future performance. On any given day, when the price is below Metcalfe, performance is positive 1 year later, 96% of the time. Now we're going to zoom in on the chart in a second. This is the post right here from Timothy Peterson, Bitcoin Pathfinder, network economist, author of Metcalfe's law as a model for Bitcoin's fair value there. All right, so here you can see for the first time in 2 years, it's trading below this value. Does not necessarily signal a bottom, but 365 days from now, it is, look for it to be positive 96% of the time. It indicates most of the leverage has been removed. The bubble's been deflated. and it's higher 96% of the time a year later. Average gain 132%. Compares to 75% and 68% for other periods. Now you can look at the chart. I think we have it right here. So this is the teal line is Bitcoin's price. And then every now and then towards a bear market, you see it dip below this other line, the blue line, this, or I guess whatever color. Chat, what color is this? TJ, what color are you saying that is?
Which one?
Is that an indigo below the teal line?
Yeah, I get. Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, that's like bluish. Yeah, indigo-ish, purplish.
It's the blue of a dark and stormy sea. That's what I'm seeing here. But
Black
yeah, it goes. It's like a pirate water. All right, so you go right here. Boom, it goes below. You go forward a year, Bitcoin's price is higher. Goes below again. This is going to be right at March 2020. Boom, you go forward a year, much higher. And then we have, exchanges going down. We have the bear market of the year 2022. Goes below again, go forward a year. Boom, Bitcoin's price is higher. 96% of the time, we're getting a higher Bitcoin price.
Can I just say real quick, what's interesting to me about that is it's so many things that have been popping up chart-wise, indicator-wise right now look a lot like the pre-COVID times, March, end of 2019, March 20th, 2020. A lot of bottom indicators looking very much like those bottoms. And this is just another one of those that, even though traditionally, again, March 2020 was heading into a halving year, not coming out of a halving year, but a lot of things marking the bottom is a lot more clear, I feel like, than the top was, which is another reason that I believe we haven't seen the true top, and that 2026 is going to be the year that a lot of us were expecting out of 2025. Because many indicators are showing bottom, not a lot showing top, which is just interesting. It's just another one that says that, which basically is saying the liquidity cycle. When I say COVID or 2019, end of 2019 is when the liquidity in the business cycle was as tight as it is now. Banks were going under. The reverse repo stuff was getting tapped like crazy. We got a story like that to show too. That's the second most it was used, I think, since COVID. So a lot of macro indicators say we're right at the point where we were in 2019, which we know what happened into 2020, 21 and onward. So that'd be crazy if we get a very bullish 26 and 27. But anyway,
hey, I'll take 132% pump. I'll definitely take that, folks. You're going to be looking at let's just say 80. No, it's 90 now. So 180 plus another 30. So you're looking at $210,000. Yeah, 210. So notably, when Bitcoin USD pair drops below the fair value 2019, 2020, significant price recoveries in the months that followed. Last time, early 23. And then Bitcoin had a 340% rally when it ended up hitting 74K. So they're talking about below 20, going from 20-ish to 74. Huge pump there. Now looking at 2026, we got a lot of bullish factors, to TJ's point. Persistent institutional buying. Macroeconomic tailwinds, such as Fed easing, could also drive it above the trend line by the middle of the year, targeting new all-time highs. So there's a little bit of hopium for you, folks. Let me give you a little bit more hopium with a dash of salt here. This is how low it could go. Fun fact, Bitcoin has never fallen below its electrical cost. Today, the floor is $71,000. Now, take that with a grain of salt. I don't think anyone knows for sure the exact electrical cost of every Bitcoin that's mined. No one knows that for sure. This is a rough estimate. But if you look at the rough estimate, we have never dipped below this area here. This is also suggesting, 71K, very, very strong floor, aka we're close to a floor, aka that could have been the floor at 80.
Yeah, that's close. We're close enough. Like I keep saying, you want to sell near tops and buy near bottoms. 70K. It was always been the number. 69 is the previous cycle all-time high. So if that's another one that it's pretty strong. Now it's interesting to me that it says it's never fallen below it, because maybe it means like sustained below it. I don't know if you're talking daily or weekly or something.
I mean, you can see a wick right here. That's the March 20 wick.
That's what it looks
like. Yeah, I mean, it wicks below right there for sure.
I would think it's wicked below. Maybe this is a weekly chart or something, but on the daily we definitely have, because I know it went to 16 in 2022. So, but yeah, the cost to produce a Bitcoin, like the electricity cost, has almost always set the floor, the miner's cost. So, seeing that around 70K, and of course that adjusts upward with the cost of energy and the difficulty adjustment. So, to me, again, anywhere in the 80s is good buys. I'm still holding on to my last third of cash. So I deployed about a third near 100K. I deployed another third in around 85, 87K. I didn't deploy the last third to 80. I wanted to. That felt like a bottom, but I'm holding on to a little bit more just in case we go into the mid to low 70s or even a high like 69K, something like that, which I'd put it at chances of that like 15, 20% right now.
All right. And I guess you're not using Plan C anymore. Plan C throwing in the towel. Yes, the guy that looks like Ronaldo's statue. He is now saying the model could be broken. He's saying the model that says the average daily price of the 4-year period from the last halving to the next halving should be 500K Bitcoin. Should Plan B stop updating stock to flow? So is C throwing shade at B? Should they stop updating stock to flow and admit that stock to flow is a flawed way to model Bitcoin? Clear the thesis is model is flawed and invalid. So maybe it's time to go ahead and sunset Plan B's stock to flow model there. Might not just be over now, folks. It's over. Now let's talk about a little back and forth. We're seeing a little bit of wishy-washy news from Wall Street. Do you remember Vanguard? This is earlier. This is January 2018. So you will never, ever see a Bitcoin fund from us. We just will not do it. And if you fast forward to today, now we're going to allow crypto ETFs on its platform. Now, TJ, they're technically correct. He said our Bitcoin fund. So you won't see a Bitcoin fund from us. So he's still trying to hedge his way. Oh, no. I've never changed my mind, shareholders. Don't worry. But now it's 50 million plus clients. This is huge, folks. This is a giant bank here. They're going to have access to crypto ETFs starting today. And they're the second largest asset manager in the world. And they're going to allow their clients to start trading these crypto ETFs and mutual funds starting today, reversing its previous stance on digital asset ETFs. Why? Well, they're spurred by persistent retail and institutional demand, and they're going to allow other third-party access to crypto ETFs. So Vanguard still doesn't have a Bitcoin fund. They can kind of say, we've never changed our mind, but they're opening access to IBIT, to Grayscale, to all the major players. And I'm sure there's stockholders who are saying, why the hell didn't we do this? Why are we giving BlackRock fees? It should have been us.
It should have, Vanguard, for those of you who don't know, Vanguard is massive. They're almost as large as BlackRock when it comes to assets under management. Very similar.
I mean, number two,
Yeah, number two. I mean, and somebody in the chat said it. I have a lot of money in my Vanguard 401k. Let me know. They do a large percentage of the 401ks out there are Vanguard. So let me know in the chat if you've ever used a 401k that's associated with Vanguard. I know I have in the past. One of mine was Vanguard way back in the day. So, so this is huge, and they are definitely reversing their course somewhat because they did come out and basically say we won't allow our clients. Yes, they did say their fund, but they were basically like, crypto is bad, Bitcoin is bad. We won't ever participate in it whatsoever. And that was not that long ago. That was like a year or two ago. Immediately started to see backlash from clients, people canceling accounts. And now the demand is so loud and so large. They had to come out and allow this, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. See, there's a bunch of people have used Vanguard. It's almost as big as Fidelity. Yeah, I would agree. They've got Vanguard and Fidelity 401k. So, massive. It was also crazy to me. BlackRock came out either earlier this week or last week and said that their Bitcoin ETF is their number one revenue generator. So they're making more money off their Bitcoin ETF than anything else. And so, it's just another financial institution that thumbed their nose at Bitcoin and acted like we don't need it. We're better than it. We're going to hold, we're never going to offer it, to now, not even a year later, maybe a little bit over a year later, bending the knee and saying, actually, maybe Bitcoin is good. Maybe we should offer this to our clients. So, another big win for Bitcoin for sure.
Hey, let's chalk up another win, everybody. Now we have Bank of America back at 1 to 4% crypto allocation. They're also opening the door to the Bitcoin ETFs. They're also number two, but number two in the size of U.S. banks. For investors with a strong interest in thematic innovation and comfort with elevated volatility, aka risky bets, a modest allocation of 1 to 4% in digital assets like Bitcoin could be appropriate. This is from Bank of America Private Bank, so it's a subsidiary of proper BOA. Now they're going to have 4 new Bitcoin ETFs: Bitwise, Fidelity, Grayscale, and BlackRock ETFs. The development will enable the bank's wealthiest clients to gain exposure to Bitcoin ETFs, which were previously only available upon request. The bank's over 15,000 wealth advisors were unable to recommend any cryptocurrency investment product prior to this. Bank of America is the second largest bank in the U.S., $2.67 trillion in consolidated assets, 3,600 banks. Number one, J.P. Morgan Chase. So there you go. J.P. Morgan coming in 3.8, Bank of America coming in 2.7 there. And BlackRock, they also kind of bent the knee. TJ's point, they're allowing up to 2% Bitcoin allocation. They did that in December 24. In June, Fidelity said 2 to 5% allocation. And then in October, Morgan Stanley, 2 to 4% allocation. So we're seeing the dominoes of the banks fall one after another, after another, after another. And yeah, you could bet on, October, 2 months of down, it's going down for the next 10 months. It's a bear market. I don't buy it. I don't buy that Bitcoin's going down for the next 10 months. We're in a mini bear market now. We've consolidated a traditional asset. You say, that's clearly a bear market. But for Bitcoin, it's a dip for ants. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a tzatziki from a really small dish.
Yeah, it is. I 100% agree. And seeing the largest asset managers in the world come out and up their recommendations, 2 to 4% for a lot of these asset managers is a massive amount of money. For the Bank of America, Wealth Management, Fidelity, BlackRock, all these places. I mean, if we see anywhere close to that, which I do think we will in 2026, and the biggest thing holding it back again is that market structure bill, that Clarity Act, that really helps push this stuff through. And I think we're going to see it translate into other coins outside of Bitcoin. I do think it will absolutely start at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will, a resurgence in Bitcoin will kind of reignite everybody's excitement that this bull market's back on. But I mean, we've got Solana up considerable today. Like you mentioned, Chainlink is starting to move again. Chainlink's ETF launches today, so we've got a live Chainlink ETF today. And I think we're going to see huge inflows there. That's the other thing is, like, as these things keep launching and they keep becoming the number one most successful product of these companies, the Bitcoin ETF, huge smashing success. Ethereum ETF, also a big success. I think we're going to see the same with Solana, the same with Chainlink, and many of these other index related ETFs and ETPs. So
yeah, and we might consider it, it's not real crypto. You don't actually have Bitcoin. I would never. I only self-custody. I imprint my seed phrase on the back of my eyelids, and only I know my Bitcoin. That's not most of society. That's not how business works. That's not how the world works. I think you could put out an inferior product, but if that inferior product makes money, money's going to pour in. Money's going to follow. TJ, I got a great example. Tab. You ever drink Tab?
I've had Tab.
It's complete ass. It is terrible. But guess what? It was the first diet soda. It was the only diet soda.
Sold a lot of it.
Spartame. Yeah. People love that stuff. What did Coca-Cola do? Did they say, Tab sucks? Clearly Coke's better. No, they made their own crappier product. They made a Diet Coke. So these ETFs might be the Diet Coke to Coca-Cola. I know, I only want the pure Coca leaf Coca-Cola. Well, fine. You have that option. You can self-custody. But for most people, there's a lot of Diet Coke drinkers out there.
There are. Well, I was going to ask, what's your go-to soda? Do you have?
I don't drink soda. I drink bubbly water. So I'm a LaCroix man. I was going to say LaCroix boy. No, I'm not. It's just because it rhymed. But if I had to, gun to my head, I think Coca-Cola is largely poison. Sprite is like, it doesn't have food dye. I don't know. I mean, Sprite's okay. What's your soda? Chat, what's your soda?
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm also soda water. So, like, if I had to pick a soda water, it'd probably be Topo Chico as one of my favorites.
Pellegrino's is probably, and Topo Chico is great for no flavor. Pellegrino is great for the flavor.
I agree. I do all those as well. It's the same too. I drink all the time, but I knew, a lot of Dr. Pepper, orange soda. I was just curious because you said diet soda. I've never been able to drink any diet soda ever. I think they all taste terrible.
We're going to cover Fusaka towards the end of the show. We got the Fusaka news. Big Dryda coming in. They love some ETH there. We're going to cover some ETH. I got some stuff to share with that. Mountain Dew.
I'm seeing some of that. I had a Mountain Dew at my extended family Thanksgiving I went to. I hadn't had Mountain Dew probably. I can't remember the last time I had a Mountain Dew. It's very sweet. It was good, but it's very, very, very sweet. But
the wife drinks Mexican Coke.
Yeah,
we get it from Costco. Yeah, corn syrup is poison, folks. All right, speaking of poison, let's talk about MicroStrategy. Oh, he went there. All right, MicroStrategy's current situation. Bitcoin holdings, 55 billion. This is what pisses me off all the time. You see the market cap of the company. You see the amount of Bitcoin. No one ever talks about their debt. Do the math, people. It just takes a little bit of research here, but Kobayashi came through. So they have 55 billion in Bitcoin, but they have 8 billion in debt, and they have 1.4 in cash. So if you look at their Bitcoin, subtract the debt, add the cash, $48 billion. What's the market cap? $45 billion. So you'll always see this. MicroStrategy is only worth 45 billion, but they have 55 billion in Bitcoin. Do the math, idiots. Well, they're not even doing the math. The math is you got to subtract that. You got to add cash. You got to look at the liabilities. You got to look at the assets. You got to add everything together. Then you can see the real math. So 48 versus the $45 billion. Their net Bitcoin holdings are above the company's market cap, but you could say the market pricing in extreme amounts of risk right here. And I would say, you know, that's directionally fair. So this is part of the reason you don't get it. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a flipped spaceship scheme. Come on now. Get it right, folks. I like this one here. All right. So Strategy is offering Stretch, new perpetual preferred stock via IPO to select investors. This is what they offered over the summer. Let's try really hard to showcase our offerings without sounding like a pyramid scheme. God dang, it's a triangle again. It definitely gives me vibes of The Office there. So, you know, seeing a lot of heat on MicroStrategy. We covered it a lot yesterday there. Let's talk about the bullishness here. So that's some of the bearishness out there. What's some of the bullishness? The Fed. Look at this. Look at this recent chart here. Federal Reserve just pumped $13 billion through overnight repurchase agreements. This is the second largest liquidity injection since COVID and surpasses even the peak of the dot-com bubble. Probably fine. Carry on. I notice this like looked weird right there. If you look right there, it's like, wait, why does the blue line start there? And yeah, if you zoom in, you go to the 1 year, you can see it right here, kind of shot up. I think this might be maybe related to Thanksgiving here, because this is from the Wednesday. So from Wednesday to Friday. This is Thanksgiving. You can see it right there. That's the Thursday of Thanksgiving. But if you zoom out, so what does COVID look like here? This is COVID. That's why, you know, it's definitely a lot less than COVID, but to their point, it is higher than what we saw during the dot-com bubble. So compared to dot-com bubble, this is very, very massive. And you could just say directionally, this is showing signs of stress in the system.
That's what I was about to say. It's showing the stress levels are getting near where it was in COVID, which is, and again, basically this means banks are running out of money. They don't have money. There's no liquidity for banks to fill these things out. And we're seeing that get worse and worse and worse, which is why it's, again, crazy to me that traditional banking people would go after Strategy or Tether and say, oh, that their solvency is in question. It's like, well, no, it's not. If that's the case, every bank out there is insolvent because they don't have assets to match all their deposits. And, so it's, to me, that's crazy. And I think a lot of people are going to end up either some people are going to look really smart, the people that are buying MicroStrategy here, and people that are selling, I think, are going to end up regretting it in the future. This is actually, I've never bought MSTR, the common stock, but right now at this level is starting to look pretty juicy. A part of me that some of that cash that I've been holding back, my biggest issue is every time it comes down to it, I'm like, oh, I could just buy Bitcoin. I just buy the Bitcoin. But at this level, with it getting that oversold, the fact that its market cap's lower than just the amount of Bitcoin that they hold, let alone all the other credit options that they have available, to me, I'm really tempted to buy some MSTR and some MSTY. The yield, the options yield product on the MicroStrategy volatility is extremely beat down right now. So I'm very tempted to buy some of both of those. So,
all right. Some of you in the chat are enraging me, and I must address this now. Latinx, we don't say Latinx around here. 90s kid drink surge, sure. But this guy, I think, is a troll. Maybe we need to find him. Maybe we need to hunt this person down, because I need to send Liam Neeson after you. RC Cola. You might as well say Sam's Choice at that point. I don't even.
There you go.
I don't know if this is a real person.
Yeah, great value. I drink great value cola.
Is this? Look, I was just in Mexico and I didn't drink the water. Okay, I didn't try the other Mexican Coke. Okay, you folks, stay on the straight and narrow, y'all. Focus on life, focus on money, and let's focus on Bitcoin here. Bitcoin battles 50K price target as Fed adds 13 billion in overnight liquidity. Kind of looking at what we were just looking there on the chart, and this is just going to be a classic macro bull signal. Markets, though, still see interest rates coming down despite rumors over Japan. And I want to share this, kind of point out Benjamin Cowan's post. So we have the Fed looking very likely they're going to cut in December. But we also have Japan likely that they're going to raise rates in December. And if you look in the past, July 2024, the Fed did cut rates while Bank of Japan raised rates. It led to the unwind of the carry trade. Bitcoin capitulated into it, but it found a low a week later. He's saying a good chance is going to happen again December 10th because the Fed cuts and the Bank of Japan raising rates highly likely. So maybe Bitcoin finds a low in mid-December. I like how he's thinking there as we come to an end of this quantitative tightening ending yesterday, folks. Things are going to start maybe turning the corner here.
Well, and real quick on that, somebody in the chat, I wish I could remember their name, towards the start of the show made a good point. And I agree that Tether now is really stepping up and kind of filling the role that Bank of Japan used to fill. You know, Tether and Circle and a lot of these stablecoin issuers being the number one buyer of treasuries, we've basically taken that role of a government filling that, and we're moving it to private companies. So it will be very interesting as 2026 rolls out to see if we just keep on that same style of a trade with the Tether and Circle and these stablecoin issuers buying all these treasuries that Bank of Japan was buying. So just an interesting little wrinkle there.
Speaking of interesting here, TJ, I find this interesting. Is this true? You were homeschooled.
I was.
Is RC Cola good?
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, again, we didn't drink soda even when I was a kid, really. So,
you're like the very severe.
We're the homeschooler, the healthy homeschoolers, you know, where it's like you don't eat sugar, you know. So you don't
Mom, stop making your own yogurt, okay? I don't want to eat this weird stuff with flax.
Yeah,
I don't even know what flax is.
It was called Jose. Actually, it was our healthy homemade ice cream.
How do you spell that?
With a G.
Okay. We'll allow it. All right, folks. Let's get your head out of the gutter. This is pretty interesting, folks. Dell. Let's not make any comments here. I know you guys want to say, but $6.25 billion from Michael Dell and his wife. They're going to give 25 million children $250 a piece. And here's the quote. Susan and I believe the smartest investment we can make is in children. That's why we're so excited to contribute this money from our charitable funds to help these children start building a strong financial foundation through Invest America. You can look into this tying into he's giving it straight to the Treasury Department. It's tying into a federal program. Just allow these kids to buy Bitcoin. That's what I say. I'll even allow a Bitcoin ETF. I don't know if you had any thoughts on every kid getting $250.
I mean, like you said, it's I like the concept, but yeah, give it to them in Bitcoin, and then they might have a fighting chance. But by the time you give them $250, by the time like say they're going to hold it till they're 18, it's going to lose all of its buying power. So,
what are you going to have your kid buy?
What, dollars or Bitcoin?
Yeah, let's just say. I mean, all right. How about this? Remove Bitcoin. Anything crypto related. Say you had to tie into the traditional fiat system with no ETFs or nothing, no MicroStrategy. What's a traditional stock you might want to buy, or gold, or?
So you're taking away all commodities and anything Bitcoin related?
You could do a stock, like if you had to choose a stock or gold or silver.
But you said MicroStrategy. Yeah, I mean, obviously,
we'll take away any. No, if it's not like by Wall Street, we're not going to count it.
Okay.
It's called a thought experiment, TJ. For Christ's sakes,
it's hard to bet against big tech kind of stuff, whether it's Tesla or Google.
Pokemon. We got Pokemon cards. I don't know if you get exposure via their program.
Dude, people are crushing it with Pokemon cards. Yeah, Tesla, Nvidia. That's kind of where my head went. The obvious ones.
Cocaine's gotten cheaper since the 80s. I don't know lately. That was like back in the day. That was like a meme. Bonds, S&P. You know what? I don't hate a S&P 500, just like a mutual index there.
Yeah.
Some are saying silver and gold over stocks there. So a little bit of a mixed bag from the Disco fam here. Now, I do want to give a shout out to some of the European viewers, some of the international viewers. Let's get out of America. Big shout out to Poland. Poland president vetoed the MiCA bill. This is going to be a European framework. Cites threatens the freedom of Poles. And this is President Karol Nawrocki. Now, you might be confused here. Some of you might be thinking, well, I thought the president was Donald Tusk. I'm not kidding. That's a real thing, TJ. It's not Donald Tusk as the president. Donald Tusk is actually the prime minister. And so Poland has a prime minister. Poland also has a president. Donald Tusk is more of the day-to-day operations, whereas the president is going to be signing, so kind of choosing the long-term direction of the country. And I don't know if you ever seen this Donald Tusk guy. Have you ever seen him, TJ?
No.
He's crazy looking here. Here we go. Boom. There you go. It's Donald Tusk. I'm pretty
That's
sure it's
crazy
accurate
looking.
photo of the Polish president there.
Yikes.
Sorry, prime minister. So Donald Tusk. No. Let's talk about Carol, though. She's concerned that the Crypto Asset Market Act would allow the government to disable crypto companies. Click with a single click, everybody. So very, very good job over there in Poland. I do like a lot of their politics out of this president here, but it was Poland's legislation to bring it in line with the EU's markets and crypto assets regulation, the MiCA regulation. This is going to bring Poland into the European Union regulation. It's their framework to establish a single rule book for oversight of the crypto industry, but they said no, and we reject your European Union framework. It's overreaching, it's censorious, and it's Orwellian, and we want nothing to do with it. So Donald Tusk, minus 10 points, but the president, Narwaki, was against this. So really, really good. I did want to share this. Czech Republic and Slovakia, their acts were a dozen pages long. Poland's, by the time it went through, over 100 pages. So they're shoehorning in like all types of just probably bloated, vague legalese that allows them to freeze your bank account. If I had to guess, that's really probably where it was going to end up. But back to America, Eddie Murphy here. FDIC says the framework for the stablecoin laws are coming this month. We're going to see it pretty soon. They've begun work to promulgate rules or implement to implement the Genius Act. We expect to issue a proposed rule to establish our application framework later this month. So we might see out. To me, this is a buy the rumor, sell the news. I think if you get well positioned with RWA, with DeFi, these coins are going to do well. These projects are going to do well. And even if we are entering a bear market, you'll be able to sell into the news. So you buy the rumor today, you sell the news when President Trump signs it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of downward pressure. So I think there's a lot of projects, the Chainlinks, the Aves, even the Ondos. I think these are going to do very, very well as this starts to roll through. And people get excited about the prospects of what this is going to do for DeFi. And again, it might be a sell the news situation there. So you might want to be careful. Choke Point 2.0 paper just came out. I'm not going to get too deep into that. It's a little bit of a left versus right thing. They did say, the Biden administration used vague rules, excessive discretion, informal guidance, and aggressive enforcement actions to pressure us away from serving the digital asset clients. And it said legislative action is going to be needed. So kind of setting the framework for this to get passed there. So I do like that. But let's talk about ETH. So we're going to talk about Fusaka. I kind of stopped covering ETH upgrades because they quit doing anything to the price. Now, TJ, you remember in 2021, maybe it was Din Kun, maybe before Din Kun, the big ETH upgrade created, remember it was like 20 days that were green in a row. And everyone's like, well, 13 days was the record. 14 days is the record. 15, it just kept going. It kept going. It kept going. It kept going. Everyone's shorting and they're shorting and they're shorting and they're getting wrecked. So we did not see that for any of the subsequent upgrades. TJ, maybe this one's timed well. It's timed well with what we're seeing out of money printing. It's timed well what we're seeing out of Congress. And maybe it's just timed well for its ETH's time to shine against Bitcoin. It's called the Fusaka upgrade. It's going to work on scaling rollups without breaking the core. We got a little bit of a technical breakdown, nothing too technical, however. So this is happening tomorrow. It's being framed as just another scaling step, but it marks a shift in how the network ships change and how they do their EIPs. Instead of massive multi-year overhauls, got to go to this test net. Then you go to this test net. All right, you're there for 12 months. All right, now you go. Okay, now you're on mainnet. Fusaka is the first proof that Ethereum can deliver upgrades in something closer to 6 months. At the center of this is EIP 7594, Peer Data Availability Sampling, or Peer DAS. Peer DAS. I'm just going to say that. What it actually changes, after Din Kun did blobs, Pectra tightened the user experience, Fusaka builds on that foundation. Peer DAS changes how nodes deal with roll-up data. Rather than every validator download an entire blob, they only need to verify a small piece of the blob sampled across the network. This cuts duplication and bandwidth and frees up room for more data overall. There's a lot of duplication that gets sent around the network. Peer DAS reduces the duplication of that data, and blobs are just data packages used by ETH rollups to post large amounts of off-chain data to the main chain cheaply and efficiently. That's the Fusaka upgrade. It is tomorrow. And ETH is looking good. ETH is looking good. Let's go look at the ETH chart here. I haven't looked today because just prices have just been going so crazy here. Let's see. Boom, boom. Looking for the spot crypto. There we go. Let's go to the daily. Well, you look at that. Well, you look at that. We're maybe potentially exiting this. We did the 3, maybe trying to break out of this parallel range, TJ. So that's a very, very good sign. We definitely do need to get out of this, establish this as support, and then maybe get one retest. If we can use this as a springboard, I would say top of the range just seems like the next logical step. Yeah, there's a lot of liquidity. Yeah, it's going to maybe retest previous all-time high if things can stay bullish here. I'm turn bullish on ETH.
Yeah, I think ETH is doing a lot of things right recently, and seeing a lot of huge wins on a regulatory framework. Again, with this Clarity Act and market structure bill coming through, Ethereum's one of the major winners. We're seeing. I
didn't realize we're pointing out a bull div on the daily too.
Wow, nice. That's good. We need that. So yeah, back above 3,000 is huge. And then we've seen it before. When it moves, it can move very aggressively both directions, up and down. So, if we get move back from 3 to 4,500, then we get back above those 4,500 5K levels, and it can move to those really high levels real quick. I mean, you still got Tom Lee out there all the time. Look at that. That looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
You still got Tom Lee out there all the time talking about, high prices, even still talking about high prices this year. So,
yeah, I know. He's got to chill with that at a certain point.
Yeah, I know. He feels like he pulls numbers out of anywhere. But at the same time, you have a guy like him running the company that he is, and you would want him to be exceptionally bullish on. If he's not exceptionally bullish on Ethereum all the time, then what are you doing? Yeah, somebody else. That's what I was talking about earlier. MSTY outrageously buyable right now. I agree. I might do some of that today. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated.
All right, let's look at the chart here. This is MicroStrategy.
Yeah, we're talking MSTY, the yield.
Oh, okay.
It's yield max. Basically, it pays dividends. It's just like an options. It's based on MSTR's volatility, and it's beat down like dramatically.
I mean, you're retesting the 2024 highs. This is
it's
technical
good
support.
Yeah, it's a great time to buy MSTR as well. Not saying it's not. They're both strong.
Hold on. I smell. Is this a trend line?
Oh. Look at that. Look at that.
I don't know. I sold MicroStrategy stock. I don't know how long ago. It was more than a year ago. This is the first time I've looked at it and said, I think I want to buy some. But, I did DCA into Bitcoin, so maybe I'll just count that. Now, let's talk about ADA. This is the bullish news I've been yearning to share. And I'm yearning for this to end. Ask Grok to explain. I'm asking Grok to stop doing that. But anyways, apparently, Circle is coming to Cardano.
Wow, that's huge.
If the government proposal passes, I will say there's a lot of bullishness for this proposal in the ecosystem. Very high likelihood that this is going to pass. Stakepool shared this right here. I haven't really dove into this, but this is Charles's response to Circle confirmed. So people are saying Circle is confirmed. What does Charles Hoskinson have to say? If the PINTAD proposal passes, then yes, it is. Yes, it is. What's the PINTAD proposal? Is this group right here? No, it's it is going to look at the founding entities. This is Regard from CF. That's Charles Hoskinson. This is good. This is actually a decent AI. And I'm assuming one of these guys is the Emergo fellow right there. But I will look more into this, probably do a short, maybe do a video on this tomorrow. I want to give this news, a little bit of time to percolate here. Very, very bullish for Cardano. I think Cardano, it's going to double in a month if you see USDC come. And I have something I want to share with you folks. This is Solana. Now we'll come back to Solana price in a second. Let's look at when USDT and USDC were added. Now when hold on. I have the screen too small.
Yeah.
So USDT was added right here. This green candle. You can see the candle. This is $3.15. Guess what? Over the next 100 days, it actually dropped 50%. It actually dropped even more if you go out to like 108 or whatever. But over the next 100 days, you add USDT, it drops 50%. What about when you add USDC? Added USDC. This is Solana. When they added USDC, a 1,200% pump. And
Wow.
so I am very, very bullish on Cardano potentially getting this USDC. Now, to Solana's charts, though, I do want to share Ollie charts now has a buy signal on Solana. Seems like it's been pretty accurate when you're looking at the weekly charts there. But when you go to today, we do have a falling wedge. I wanted to share here. Let's scroll. Here we go. All right. With the pump today, we're now testing the top. It didn't look like this when I was looking at this morning, running the charts. If we could break out of this, also very bullish. Now, if we test the bottom, it's going to be ugly. It's going back down to like 105. Let's just be bullish, folks. Let's just assume it's going to break through. But back to Cardano, I'm very excited about that, TJ. I will get an ADA tattoo. I won't get an ADA tattoo, but I am very excited, and I wish now I'm actually starting thinking about accumulating more ADA. I will say that.
It's a good range. If they're adding a stable coin, I think this is what I've been kind of holding out for the whole time. That's the two things. If they can add a stable coin, and if they can actually do well for DeFi for Bitcoin with the UTXO model, I think those are the two things that could help Cardano, kind of find its own niche within the crypto ecosystem. So
all 16 of us are very excited about this. Yeah. I know some of you, he's bullish on Cardano. I've actually tried to give bearish news over the last week or two of Cardano. I haven't been super bullish. I think some of you guys can kind of, respect that. But I am very, very optimistic on what this does for Cardano's price action specifically. Any thoughts on Arrow? No, Arrow's not dead. TJ's using it right now.
Yeah, we are. Arrow's definitely not dead. If anything, it's actually getting ready. They've got big upgrades rolling out next year. The merge of Aerodrome and Velodrome. They're going to ETH mainnet. So to me, that will be huge. Right now, Aerodrome #1 DEX on base, but pretty soon they're going to expand, to Ethereum mainnet, which will increase the volume dramatically. So for me, that's all very, very bullish. So no, I'm not. I think Arrow is one of my larger bags. I've obviously got some of the majors: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, that sort of stuff. But out Cardano, and then outside of those, it probably is Arrow. And if anything, I'm looking again. These levels are buy levels, not sell levels. Yeah, I use liquidity. Yes, we use. Really, we use Arrow. I have spot Arrow that's locked, but we use the Aerodrome platform for using mostly. I think it's CB, Bitcoin, and Wrapped ETH pools that we use. So we run those pools on Aerodrome, pays really good fees. You can do that stuff on Uniswap as well. But I think Aerodrome and Uniswap, neither one are going anywhere. They both pay really good fees, and Aerodrome pays out well to its holders. So I think that I see that only getting stronger as all this stuff comes in, as all this DeFi comes in, as all these banks come in. If you think about what's happening with all these stable coins and these banks coming in, all the liquidity in this system is going up while the liquidity is tight in the traditional system. So DeFi, I don't think is going anywhere. There's plenty of money to be made for at least the next decade, in my opinion.
You know what? Speaking of that, so we're seeing rumblings that Clarity Act is going to pass, or the Market Structure Act is going to pass in December. We're seeing rumblings that the Fed is starting to loosen their monetary policy. And if you look at what we're seeing for the top gainers today, they all fit under DeFi or that Made in America bracket that we were also bullish on 12 months ago, 13 months ago. And so sweet, Made in America, you could argue DeFi, America. This is definitely, I think, going to be a beneficiary of anything coming out of Congress. I think WorldCoin knows the right people, shaking the right hand. Sam Altman, A16Z, they're very powerful when it comes to Washington, D.C., Made in America, DeFi, Made in America. So a lot of those OG coins that, kind of experienced that Trump pump are all having a pretty good day today. You got to go kind of all the way to Caspa till you break that narrative, which is a proof of work coin. But all these largely under that like Made in America DeFi umbrella.
AI, you could say, or RWA. Like the main seems like categories are DeFi, RWA, which you could say tokenization, and AI. I mean, if you put WorldCoin could sit in the AI category, Near could sit in AI.
And then there's Pepe. But besides Pepe, it's looking really good over here, folks. So that is our show for today, 2 p.m. Come back. We got to talk to Drew. Drew's got some alpha that he wants to share.
Somebody asked earlier, Trump has a special announcement, so we're going to be
2
covering
p.m.
that live 2 p.m. today. So make sure you're here. It's going to be. You never know when he's on the sticks. You never know what's coming out next. So be ready.
So definitely come back, and we're gonna watch Donald Tusk when he's live at 2 p.m. folks.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.